Stocks on Wall Street end higher in a choppy trading session as investors look past a likely government shutdown looming midweek. Gains in Nvidia and other chip stocks also aided the key indices after skepticism around the artificial intelligence trade put pressure on the stocks last week. Asian markets are higher, tracking gains on Wall Street. The GIFT Nifty, though, is indicating a slightly muted start for our own markets. Oil prices fall 3% on Monday as after OPEC and allies plan for another increase to oil output in November. Gold, on the other hand, has hit a new record high, surging past $3,850 for the first time on renewed rate cut bets. And in a fresh round of tariffs, US President Donald Trump targets the film and furniture industry. The US will now impose a 100% tariff on all movies made outside of the country, while any country not producing furniture in the US will face quote-unquote substantial tariffs. A big day beckons for our own markets here. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18 in the Mumbai News Centre. I am Hormas Fatakia. Let's first take a look at how the Asian markets have started off in today's session, largely tracking gains from where Wall Street left off last night. The Hang Seng, trading the gains of around 0.6%, was a bit of an underperformer yesterday. The Taiwanese index, though, leading the outperformance, 1.5% higher currently for that index. So gains coming in healthy for the Taiwanese index and for the Hang Seng. Meanwhile, the Nikkei is turning out to be a bit of an underperformer, 0.2% lower there. The broader market index over there, Topix 2, is down a similar quantum. And the Kospi in South Korea, which has been the outperformer of the year among the Asian Pacific indices, has also come slightly off the highs of the day, was up around 0.5% in the earlier ticks and now has trimmed those gains down to just 0.25%. But pull up the GIFT Nifty as well. We'll give you an idea of how our own markets are likely to start off. Well, some green is what the implied open is suggesting, 20 points higher now. The first initial ticks were in the red, but now we seem to have moved into the green. And after 7 days of losses, the bulls would hope that that losing streak does come to an end. But to set you up for today's trading session, our research team is right here with the trade setup, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and the setup on the F&O side of things as well. First up, Gaurav joins in to get all the market cues that we need to watch out for. Gaurav, good morning. What are you watching out for today?
Well, yes, when we look at the market, yesterday we saw it was a bumpy ride for all the investors because market went up and then went down again and ended with flat note. So definitely today we will be watching out on how the market is going to move. Remember, 24,600 will act as a psychological support. So we will be watching out on that level. Apart from that, semi-annual rejig will happen today. Remember, this was announced on 22nd of August. And according to this, Interglobe Aviation and Max Healthcare will be included in Nifty 50. And at the same time, Hero Motocorp and IndusInd Bank will get excluded. And as per Nuvama Alternative and Quant Research, it will bring around 1.1 billion of passive inflow and around 747 million of passive outflow because of the reject. Apart from that, now there is a new order from Trump. He has ordered 100% tariff on movies made outside USA. So definitely let's also watch out if there is any impact on the entertainment stocks in India. Other than that, RBI MPC meet. Now that is also one crucial thing to watch out for. And as a result, we will be watching out on Bank Nifty because remember yesterday PSU banks, they were up in trade. And apart from that, when we look at global cues, US market, Asian market, all they are indicating. US market yesterday ended with green. Asian market has also opened with green. And at the same time, when we look at the GIFT Nifty, it is also showing some kind of flattish opening. So definitely we'll be watching out on that. We have new listings today, Anand Rathi, Sesha Sai Technologies and Solar World Energy. So definitely we will also watch out on how these new listings will pan out for investors today.
Gaurav, thank you for that update. Over to Vamakshi. List out the stocks you need to watch out for in today's session. Vamakshi, good morning.
Good morning, Hormaz. Let me first start off with BL. The company has managed to secure additional orders worth over 1,000 crores since the last disclosure on September 16th. Blue Dart is also on our radar because they have increased the average shipment price in the range of 9 to 12%, and this will come into effect from 1st of January 2026 onwards. Realtel Corp is the next stock we're watching out for, and this is on the back of an order win. They've received a 37 crore order from Visakhapatnam Port Authority. Now, this is for smart video surveillance with IoT and a 5-year operations and maintenance contract. Now, IRFC is one other stock that we'll be watching out for. They've signed a nearly 6,000 crore term loan agreement with Haryana Power Generation Corporation. This is for the 800 megawatt Yamuna Nagar project. In addition to that, they've also signed an agreement with Mahagenco, and this is for over 10,500 crore funding of Koradi thermal expansion project. GLR will also be in focus today. Keep in mind that Moody's has actually reaffirmed its BA1 ratings on JLR, but the outlook has changed from negative to negative rather from positive. Thomas Cook, also on our radar, has partnered with Ministry of Tourism to elevate destination experiences across India. And lastly, keep an eye out on Global Spirits because they've launched the world's first premium vodka filtered using amethyst crystals with the launch of Terai India Craft Vodka.
Well, Vamakshi, thank you for that list. And lastly, Mangalam joins in with cues from the FNO space. Mangalam, good morning. 7 days of losses, lower highs, lower lows. What the FNO data is indicating?
Well, for starters, it's the first Tuesday where there will be a monthly expiry. So it's September series expiry today. The Nifty is, for all the highs and lows during this series has gained about 135 points after 1,100 points of losses in the previous two series. But this 135 points does not tell you the story. The story is between the high and the low of the series, the range of nearly 1,200 points, 12 straight days of gains, thereafter 7 straight days of losses and a fair amount of volatility. And yesterday's trade actually mirrored that as well. If you look at the Nifty Bank and the mid-cap index, all of them ended mildly in the green or absolutely flat, but that masked the volatility that we saw intraday. And yesterday's high and low on the Nifty is a fair reference point to look at for trade today as well. 24,800 on the high side and 24,600 on the lower side is what everyone on the street is betting for, especially the option writers. The FI is still 16% long and 84% short. All of that moves to the next series now. We'll watch out for how the rollovers and their long positioning is because October has a fair amount of cues as well. As far as yesterday's trade is concerned and cues for today, they've written more puts, nearly 5 times the number of puts than the number of calls ahead of expiry, telling you that there is a stronger support on the way down than resistance on the way up. What are those levels? 24,650 put, fairly active in trade for a 46 rupee premium, telling you again yesterday's low and 24,600 would be an important support to track. Though on the way up, the Nifty has to cross that 24,750 mark and around that 24,800 mark, which again is around yesterday's high, for further short covering to take place as well on expiry. So 24,600 to 24,800 is the range that the street is betting on. One stock I'm watching out for, Sammaan Capital. Remember, fair amount of trading activity yesterday, back in FNO ban on the day of expiry, and there is some news as well where the company is looking to raise funds. So all of this makes the stock an exciting one to watch out for.
Oh, indeed. We'd watch out for Sammaan Capital out of the FNO ban one day, back in the other. Mangalam, thank you for that update. Take a short break. We get you more updates from the White House in our special segment, Trump Watch, on the other side. Welcome back. Getting you the latest on the Donald Trump related developments. Dia is here in our special segment, Trump Watch.
Good morning. We begin with high-stakes announcement out of Washington. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have unveiled a 20-point plan aimed at ending the war in Gaza. Now, the framework includes a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces from the enclave. Trump said the plan has backing from other West and Asian Muslim leaders. Now, the questions do remain over Hamas's role. The Palestinian Authority welcomed what it called Trump's sincere and determined efforts following the announcement. But Prime Minister Netanyahu made clear Israel will not walk away entirely. He said Israel would retain security responsibility in Gaza and vow to finish the job of destroying Hamas if the group rejects the US-backed deal. Meanwhile, President Trump is turning on to trade. On Monday, he imposed fresh tariffs to support the U.S. film and furniture industries. Trump said any country not producing its furniture in the U.S. would face substantial tariffs. He also imposed a 100% tariff on all foreign-made films. And the tariffs on kitchen cabinets announced earlier and the newly announced tariffs on furniture will come into effect on October 14, White House stated. And in yet another attack on Harvard University, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has recommended the university be excluded from federal funding. Now, this comes after the Office for Civil Rights in July referred the school to the U.S. Department of Justice to address allegations it failed to address discrimination and harassment against Jewish and Israeli students on the campus. That's all for today. Now back to you, Hormaz.
Dia, thank you very much for that update. Now, in the US markets itself, it was a very choppy session on Wall Street. Although the indices ended at the highs, but then although the Dow recovered from the lows of the day, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq both ended in the green, but off the highs of the day. Mackenzie Sigalos of CNBC gets us a wrap of all the action on Wall Street.
U.S. markets were up across the major indexes in Monday trading as Wall Street tries to bounce back from a week of losses from the AI trade. The Dow climbing 69, the S&P 500 rising 18, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq advancing 107. Electronic Arts agreed Monday to be taken private in a deal worth $55 billion. The video game giant, which makes games such as Madden NFL, announced that it'll be acquired by a group of investors that includes Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund and a firm managed by President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Now, if the deal closes as expected in 2027, it would be the largest buyout of a publicly traded company in Wall Street history. And then OpenAI is rolling out new safety features and parental controls Monday for ChatGPT. Now, among those features, parents will be able to choose whether they want their child to use a version of ChatGPT that shows less content related to dieting, sex, and hate speech. If the controls are enabled, OpenAI says ChatGPT will send an emergency alert to parents if it detects a teen is in mental distress. The changes come as the company faces a wrongful death suit after a teen died by suicide following interactions with the chatbot. That's what's happening here in the U.S. Back to you in Mumbai.
Mackenzie Sigalos, thank you for that update. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump says that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has agreed to back a U.S.-sponsored Gaza peace proposal aimed at ending a nearly two-year-old war in the Palestinian enclave. Now, take a look at this report.
At least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had agreed to back a U.S.-sponsored Gaza peace deal. The agreement includes a ceasefire of the two-year-old war in Gaza and the release of hostages held by Hamas.
If accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours.
An official with Hamas said after the announcement that it has not received the written plan.
I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Netanyahu made his fourth visit to the White House since Trump returned to office in January. The right-wing Israeli leader was looking to shore up his country's most important relationship after a slew of Western leaders formally embraced Palestinian statehood last week in defiance of the U.S. and Israel. Trump, who sharply criticized the moves as a prize for Hamas, was seeking Netanyahu's agreement despite Israel's misgivings on parts of the plan. Washington presented its peace plan to Arab and Muslim states on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly last week. Trump's 20-point plan includes a staged Israeli withdrawal from the Palestinian enclave, Hamas disarmament, and a transition government led by an international body headed by Trump. The White House talks came as Israeli tanks on Monday thrust deeper into the heart of Gaza City. Israel has launched one of its biggest offensives of the war this month, with Netanyahu saying he aims to wipe out Hamas in its final redoubts. The war has left much of Gaza in ruins and caused a major humanitarian crisis.
We'll take a short break. On the other side, we get you cues from the commodities market. Stay tuned. Welcome back onto cues from the commodities market. Manisha Gupta is here. Manisha, good morning. Unstoppable gold, another day, another record.
Oh, well, absolutely. Now, this is getting, inching up to the levels that the markets thought would come perhaps next year. But 3850 is done with, and we are trading above those kind of levels right now. Well, there are mounting concerns over a looming U.S. government shutdown. We do understand that the meeting yesterday with the U.S. president and the congressional members ended without anything. But today, perhaps it could. If it doesn't, then tomorrow you have a government shutdown. But we have seen history, and we've always realized that some deal is reached at the 11th hour there. Also, the markets are working with a rising expectation of more Fed Reserve rate cuts. There's a 65% probability that you might see another rate cut in December. And before that, there's a 95% probability of a rate cut coming in the month of October. And that's exactly what the markets are working with. Well, for the gold prices, we are up by 46% in this year. It is the best yearly gain since 1979. And the markets will also watch out for the U.S. jobs data, private payrolls, non-farm payrolls. You have loads of data coming in the next 2 or 3 days, and that is where the next clues would come in from. But it's not just gold. Silver is trading at a new 14-year highs. Copper price is trading at a 2-month highs. You have zinc now trading at a 5-month highs. Aluminum trading at a 3.5-month highs. So when it comes to metals and tangible commodities, all of them seem to be doing quite well.
Not wrong when people say all that glitters. Maybe is gold, silver, and maybe some other precious metals as well. Manisha, thank you for that update. We call time on this edition of Power Breakfast. From me and the team that put this show together, thank you so much for watching. Bazaar Morning Call on the other side sets you up for the monthly expiry session.